Oh, man, maybe I should have combed my hair before I decided to start this. Anyhow, what's going on, guys? I thought that since it has been a couple of weeks, at least by my count, I can never keep track of time anymore. I kind of just go with the flow now. But anyhow, there's no one real particular topic here. For those who actually care, I am partly enjoying my time off from, writing for 2K and a lot of other stuff. Not really having the best of time with dealing with all my personal problems, but then again, that's part of the reason that I decided to take a month or two, even close to 4, for myself. And I do this also to kind of, I guess you could say, sober myself up so that way I can try to get my writing done, or at least try to be a little bit more focused and start really mapping out and planning things that I'm going to do. But I was actually going to try to do a little bit of writing today, but I ended up feeling very demotivated, and it wasn't purposely and it wasn't dramatically. It's just I came across an article that was done by Gil Simone back in 2011, and it was advice for people that wanted to break into the industry, writer, artist, etc. The one line that I know she didn't mean it to be mean, and I know that she wasn't being mean about it. I knew it for a fact. Yeah, excuse me. Slight lump in my throat, but it was the way she presented it that I kind of took a little bit to heart. Maybe I shouldn't had, but I tend to be a very sensitive person, guys. Like, I tend to take stuff a little more personally than I should. That's one of the many things on this break that I'm trying to work on, is not taking criticism too often to the heart, and also taking certain comments quite literally. But I'm a little disheveled about it, because on one hand I understood the basic message, and I'll quote the line for you guys, which is, it's good that fan fiction makes you happy, or at least something along those lines. It's good that fan fiction makes you happy. It's good that, it makes you feel good, but you have to bury it in the backyard. And to me, I found that kind of cruel, but I understood the meaning of what she was saying, which is, people aren't going to take you seriously if you write fan fiction or fan writing or anything like that. And I was discussing it with all the other guys in the 2K chat on Facebook. I was individually talking with Chris and Tony and, Craig Simon and a lot of the other guys, and just, asking each of them individually, what, what's your opinion on this? Like, do you think that statement is kind of a little bit of a low blow? And I got the same answer that I usually get, which is, it's like, oh, you're over-analyzing it again, Steve. You're analyzing every minute detail. It's like, she's just saying that you can't let that be the end-all, be-all of your resume. Which I can agree with, but I also love the analogy that she put. And it made sense. And it's also the way that me and a lot of the other guys on 2K, if we ever want to pursue a writing career, this is what this is. This is training wheels. This is to prove to ourselves, our strengths and our weaknesses, and that's the way that I take this. It's just I'm providing strengths and weaknesses for myself, and seeing, okay, I can be good at doing this genre, or I'm not really as strong in doing this genre. But I reread it this morning, and it still kind of stings. It kind of actually hurts and demotivates me, because it gives me the impression that what I do right now, writing for 2K, or even attempting, which myself and Tony haven't done, setting up New Earth 2.0, it's leading to that little voice in the back of my head asking, well, is it even worth it? I mean, basically you're told that the work that you're doing now is, not even close to crap in an anthill to anybody that you're going to talk to, whether it be an editor, a writer. And then I was hearing, Gail tell the story, and this is one of the many reasons why I love Gail Simone. People that produce their own indie comics and whatnot give them to her, which I look at those people and I say, I know that you're trying to do a good thing, but to me, that's kind of a no-no. That's kind of a moral no-no. You ask somebody, you don't just hand them it. And I'm sure they ask if they like a copy. But still, to me, I think you don't hand it out to somebody that's big. Let them buy it on their own. Oh, man. Cannot clear my throat this morning. May have to take, some salsa or something. But I do find it very kind of sad, guys, that, in the comics industry, you have so many ways of breaking in, but you also have so many ways of being shut out, too. But then I'm hearing these stories, and the more I start digging, the more I start, the more I start reading this article, the more I start actually being a little more serious in my mindset, start being a little more serious in my head. It's like, okay, I'm 26, all this stuff I could have went through years ago. A lot of it, guys, is self-esteem. I firmly feel that at 26 right now, I have passed my milestone. I could have already had been in the business, should have already had been in the business, or at least on my way breaking through. And unfortunately now at this stage in the game, even if I reach my 40s, I don't think I'll even attempt to make it into the business. So I feel very demotivated. My self-esteem is kind of waning. I'm trying to ignore it, but I'm also trying to take, that advice to heart. Maybe a little more to heart than I probably should. Because, and it's funny because she's like, separate the fantasy from the reality. Reality-wise, I know for a fact, given a month, even under a week, I'd probably crack, trying to just write one title. Especially with the many different ways that you go about writing in comics. But the fantasy part, which is what I'm doing right now, I can work on multiple titles. And even then, working on multiple titles, I found, is very difficult. It's very, very difficult. But then again, I did that to myself because I'm like, well, I'm going to do this title, I'm going to do that title. And I'm doing what I've now called claim jump writing. Which is, rather than, hey, I'll create this premise and see if somebody wants to take it, I keep telling myself, well, I can do this. It's like, I created it, it's mine. And that, it's difficult because I take this more seriously than anybody else on 2K does, which is also part of the reason of my break as well. It's one of the many multiple reasons. Because I'm getting to a point, guys, where it's stressing me out and I'm treating it like it's a job that I'm not getting paid for and feel like I should be earning some revenue from it. When you get to that point, writing-wise, whether it's fan or professional, when you get to the point that you're like, I need to take a moment and step back and reevaluate, okay, what is my purpose? What is my goal here? It's like, what can I do to fix this? Unfortunately for professional writers, you have to work. If you don't get that next expose in, if you don't get that next page, that article, that drawing, whatever, you're not going to make any money. And that's, I think, the thing that I'm trying to build myself up to, the thing that I'm trying to build a tolerance for is working around the clock without really taking a break, or taking a day off. And I found that that just doesn't work. Whether it be working a job, going to school, etc., you can't do that. You kind of got to commit to it full time. Then you got to worry about your family, and then you got to worry about, well, am I going to be able to pay the bills on time, living expenses? You start to question these things. You start to question yourself, which is where I'm at right now. Part of the reason that I'm doing this video isn't even to do a YouTube video. Part of it is just for me to put I guess, not really a rant, because it's not a rant, but just more putting a personal thoughts into here. Just more explaining to myself face to face in the camera, as like I am right now recording, and just noting my reactions, noting how I feel while I'm talking here. Which is, my reaction is one of confusion, a little bit of anger, and a little bit of sadness. Sadness because no matter what I'm going to do, I obviously can't go up to an editor or anybody who works in the industry and say, well, I'm working on this fan writing deal, and it's like basically I've already buried myself per se in the writing community, and I don't feel that that's right. And that's where the little bit of anger comes in, because who the hell is an editor at a professional company to tell somebody who is a fan, who is willing and dedicated and is willing to go through the internship, go through the hell of it, etc. and so forth, that they can't do any of that because of their fan writing? Just because you fan write in an industry that is very big and requires a lot of work doesn't mean that somebody, oh, well, they're just herpaderped, they don't know how to write. And to me, I find that very angry, because it's kind of funny. The comics industry has a big stigma on it, but yet they'll stigmatize some of their fans who are willing to write stuff based on their characters and actually use that as a platform to jump off into trying to write professionally. See, to me, I don't like that. I don't like that blacklisting system. Oh, if you've ever written a fan story, you might as well just be shut out. That's the message I get. And it's nothing against Gale, it's nothing against Dan Didio, it's nothing against any of those people. I understand, editors get thousands of submissions a day and they can't take them seriously. They gotta look at, okay, who's pro bono and who's not. But I'm also saying logistically, yeah, I'm saying logistically, that actually kind of hurts, the feelings of people who are, busting their ass, and they're, getting themselves out there. They're trying to get themselves exposed, and they're getting overlooked because, oh, they're just doing fan stories. And it's funny, because hearing the article from Gale about how Scott Snyder got on Batman, how Neil Gaiman came upon doing the Sandman series, it's like find other ways, finding an artist who's working, I believe, on formerly Brian Azzarello's Wonder Woman. She was doing a pinup art. You got all these things, guys, that really could get you into the industry, but also there's still the stigma. And to me, I don't like that. I don't like the stigma that's associated with this. It's like, judge me maybe for my early writing, but don't judge me as a whole, as a person. And I think that's where the self-esteem issue comes in, because now I feel like I have a giant wall laughing at me like, you'll never get around me. You'll never pass. It's like they won't ever take you seriously. It's like, I've had enough self-esteem issues since I was a kid. I don't need more. But I'm going to actually end this video, guys, because I actually went on a little bit longer than I probably should had. I only wanted to make it at least like 10 minutes, and I'm already like almost 5 minutes over. But I just thought that I would film a video, not only make myself feel a little bit better, actually get my emotions out, also actually see my own reaction to how I'm feeling right now. But it is how I feel, guys. I do feel that that article dissuaded me from wanting to try to pursue a professional career in comics a little more so than I already do to myself on a daily basis writing for 2K anyhow. I think out of everybody at 2K, I think I'm the most dedicated to wanting to try to write in in the professional field of comics. But I also demotivatingly don't think that I would have a chance anyhow. So I'm very fickle about it. But we'll see. Right now, I'm all about helping myself before I do anything else.